Good afternoon, everybody, and nice to have you with us here on a inside edition of High Heat, brought to you, of course, by Liberty Mutual. It's nice to have you aboard. All the fellas, of course, today. Moses will run the program. There's the great Paul O'Neill. It's Derek Jeter weekend on MLB Network, among other things. And Paul, of course, Yankee broadcaster, many in championships. Good player on the Reds. Let's not forget that, too. And he says hello. Paul, welcome. Always a pleasure. How are you today, pal? Okay?
All things considered, doing well. And we talked a little bit before the air. I understand you're doing as well. So good to go.
A lot of talk shows on the radio, so not a lot to deal with, but having fun with it. Two things with you, Paul. Let's discuss it. One to catch with Polonia and one to walk 4 years later or Benitez. Both obviously had a lot to do with the Yankees winning the championships. I know you've broken down that Polonia catch forever. It was a great grab in the ninth in Game 5. And then, of course, the walk about Benitez, which doesn't get as much discussion, but that was the key play really in that whole World Series. Talk about both for a sec. Go ahead.
Well, you look back at the Polonia thing, and obviously a scary situation because, you're kind of jabbing at the ball, and if it goes in your glove, we end up winning. If it goes out of your glove, then you're Bill Buckner again. So I was glad that it ended up the way it did. But then fast forward into the Subway Series, I don't know if you watched that at bat at all, but literally from a player standpoint, if you see the swings I was taking, I had no chance. I was overmatched. Here's a guy that, overpowers hitter. I got behind in the count early, and believe me, I was fortunate to battle a walk.
Think about, that ninth inning at bat in 2000 against the Mets, 1 out. I mean, you don't get a walk there. The Mets might, in fact, win that series. That was a huge play in 2000.
Well, I mean, their number one pitcher by far was Al Leiter, and he had put them in a position Game 1 with the closer in and a lead to take a lead. Does that end the series? No, but boy, I tell you what, when you steal a game in a short series like that game, it does change the momentum. And I don't know that the Mets were able to change that momentum after we stole a game from their best pitcher.
Excellent point. 100%. It set the tempo of the whole series. All right, let's do Jeter for a sec. You were, such a 162 game. Every, Game 7 is every game. That's your personality. What'd you see out of Jeter there? I know he made that great catch in the home run there in his first game against the Indians. But what'd you see out of Jeter early there, Paul, that you knew that the baton eventually would be passed properly when you and Bernie and those kind of guys left? What'd you see out of Jeter there in 96?
Well, he had been called up in 95 at the end just to get a little taste of what the major leagues were. And I remember sitting in the dugout in Seattle in the playoffs, and he actually said, how can you go through this? And, so you could see him progressing. So those little short stints really helped. But there were so many uncertainties in 96, and a lot of pressure was put on Joe Torre, Don Zimmer. Are you capable of winning a World Series with a rookie shortstop in Derek Jeter? I mean, you knew he was going to be a good player, but is he going to show up and be a star player at shortstop for a team that has, a chance to compete? And obviously, he answered a lot of questions very early.
He sure did. And batting ninth with Reigns leading off, he had the double leadoff scenario, and away you go. All right, how about this Yankee team? Paul, it's interesting if, in fact, we get a chance to play and, positive feel there. The Yankees are going to be the big favorite beginning of the year, the money for Cole and everything else. The Yankees would have been the prohibitive, them and the Dodgers, to be in that World Series. Now with the shortened season, it throws everything, so it puts a monkey wrench into everything, and now you have no idea with just, an 82 or an 8, whatever it might be, schedule. And that adds a little element here that you're not sure how the Yankees and the favorites, how they're going to handle that when you factor in the fact that it's only half a year. What's your take on that for a second?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, it's going to be an abbreviated season, no doubt about it. Will the better teams end up in the playoffs? Probably. Will there be a team or two that would have been that team at the All-Star break that was still in it and ends up in the playoff from this situation? Possibly. But I always believe, especially in big games, 82 games is nothing to sneeze. That's a lot of baseball. And, again, it's going to come down to the depth of teams because of so much games going to be played in a short amount of time. That should favor the Yankees, but it all comes down to health. I don't understand what has happened in baseball, but it is so much based on who is able to take the field day in and day out and be healthy.
You played every day. Bernie played every day. I know Mattingly had the back issue. Jeter played every day. Are the players too bulked up? Stanton gets hurt a lot. Judge gets hurt a lot. These are big men lift a lot of weights and all those things? I mean, have they lost a little flexibility? Has there been almost too much weight training aspects with personal trainers? I mean, in old days, everybody played all the time, and now there's so many little limbs that seem to get pulled, stretched, and everything else. What's your take on that for a sec? Let me hear.
You do. You hear a lot of muscle pulls, obliques, things that you never even heard of. So obviously the game has gone a lot to speed and power and just raw strength. I would be interested to see the training. I don't know a lot what players do. I know we used to train as hard as we could in the off season for the long season, 462 games. I don't know if players train for that anymore. You're training to hit the ball 500 feet. You're training to be able to sprint from first to second in a faster time. I don't know if you're training your body to be able to withstand just day in and day out. And, you mentioned flexibility. I am a big proponent of weightlifting. I think it changed the careers of a lot of people. I don't think that the game is ever going to get away from that. But to be a superstar, part of that is being able to take the field every single day. And, that is going to have to, you're going to have to come to grips with it.
100%. A good point you made. I think they don't think about the long season pacing themselves. Does that 90 championship ring, does that mean as much to you as the Yankee championship rings?
I tell you one thing, it's not as pretty as the Yankee rings.
Yeah, right.
First shot didn't add a lot to the bank account.
I can see that, yeah.
But you never want to take away a World Series championship. Believe me, we beat a team that we were so much underdogs going in playing the Oakland A's in 1990. But some things happened. We caught fire. We ended up stealing the series. So you don't want to take that away. But when I remember World Series and I remember celebrations and parades, New York comes to my mind. I mean, it's no secret. My best years were in New York, and the most fun I ever had playing baseball was in New York.
Well, the other thing that is interesting is the transition. You run Bucks Yankees, 94, 95, won a batting title. Team was close. Then here comes Joe in 96. You're part of both. Give me the transitional scenario there. Go ahead.
You know what, Buck, it was a progression. And Buck was somebody that I really enjoyed playing with. And it was the perfect guy when I came to the Yankees because his preparation and going into the games was so much a part of his life and what we brought to the table was the Yankees. But then when we were on the brink of winning, you couldn't have asked for a better manager than Joe Torre. I mean, he understood people. He understood how to deal with things that happened off the field. He understood that it would affect the way you played. And he was just the absolute perfect fit, he and Don Zimmer, to take that team from the 95 playoffs to 4 out of the next 5 years winning world championships.
Good to see you again, Paul. We're going to see you hopefully in that broadcast. I know you're playing lots of golf. Stay healthy. Thanks very much. Always appreciate it here today, pal.
Be well. Take care. Good to see you.
You got it, Mr. O'Neill. Nice to have him with us here, of course, on this high heat edition. Good job out of Moses, Liberty Mutual. We'll see you down the road as we continue along the way on High Heat. Adios.